Proudly presented by the Knack. Welcome into the first edition of Bird Bites. Scotty Gange, I'll be your host for this exciting edition. And here's shortstop Eddie McCabe out of Georgetown. Eddie, first off, happy lunch, and thanks for joining us in, man.
Thank you for having me. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's start with you. You just finished your second year of Georgetown. You were first team All Big East. We're not going to talk much baseball, but that's a pretty cool accomplishment for you.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a cool accomplishment. To be recognized by a conference that you're playing in is always, a great honor. My team is, the best. They just got a great group of guys, You kind of can't say enough about them, the coaching staff, the players, everyone's just a big group of support for us, and, they allow me to do what I do, and I couldn't do it without them,
So the best way, I think, to get to know somebody, I said this in the intro, is to enjoy lunch with them. So please, when we're talking, you can dig in. I'm going to move that closer just because I think it sounds a little better.
Gotcha.
And yes, we're gonna be eating. And yesterday, of course, we had our long conversation, kind of the preface to this, and you talked about your family. You're the oldest of 5, and how important that is to you.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Well, I mean, like I said yesterday, just having a group of 4 kids underneath you is it's just a lot of fun. They've been up here for a couple days, getting to even though we were rained out yesterday, we got to spend some time together in the pool, just kind of hanging out, going to dinner. It's always, you're always entertained, if that makes any sense. You got 4 kids underneath you. It's like a basketball team around you the entire time, and everyone just kind of entertains each other, and we always have a lot of fun, and it's just you're never bored,
So there's Ed and Anna up top, then Eddie, he's the oldest, and we've got Ellie is 17, John's 13, Maria is 11, and Bridget is 6.
Yes.
I want to start with Ellie.
Okay.
She's a phenomenal volleyball player, and you said that she's got it. She's got the talent.
Yeah, she really does. I mean, it's unbelievable to me, her musical abilities as well. I think I mentioned a little bit yesterday, but
She's got the ear for music,
exactly.
you said.
Yeah, she can literally listen to a song, look up a video on YouTube, and within 2 hours she's playing it on guitar, she's playing it on piano and stuff like that. So she never ceases to amaze me with the music. Even last night, I have my guitar up here, and she just picked it up, started playing, and I'm just like, when do you have time to learn all this stuff? And it's awesome. It's awesome.
So I find there's 5 pillars with you. The first 4 are them with your parents mixed in. The 5th one I'm going to save for later because that's a special one at the end for you. But Ellie, what does she teach you in terms of being a better person?
Wow, that's a good question. I think growing up with Ellie, we've kind of just learned to kind of mature together, if that makes sense. We're only a couple years apart, so we grew up on the same cartoons, on the same toys, like all that kind of stuff. Like all of my memories from life also have her in it. So just being able to have that person that's so close in age sharing that with me all the time is something that you kind of lose track of it at some point. You kind of take it for granted, but for sure it's definitely a blessing.
She's learned Bohemian Rhapsody on the piano after watching the movie.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's really unbelievable. Yeah, it's like, I'm telling you, she can just listen to something and then just kind of fiddle around with the piano for a little while, and then within 2 or 3 hours she's got it. It's crazy.
It seems like everybody has their makeup in terms of being a person, and I'll be talking about you.
Yeah.
Please take a bite, enjoy lunch. I'm gonna get a little breakdown of the Eddie McCabe. Second year here as a Firebird on the Orleans squad.
Yeah.
Again, I said first team All Big East, a phenomenal player, a great person, and I'm excited to have you on. And
Thank you.
Siblings 1, 2, 3, and 4, they all have a different corner of you.
Yeah, for sure.
I once heard a father say, who has 4 kids, he says, I have 4, I think it was aortas or whatever, 4 little openings, quadrants in my heart.
Yeah.
And each of my kids represent each one of those. So I think that's maybe in the same terms for you and siblings.
Yeah. I think that's a great way of putting it, for sure.
So I want to talk about Maria, your youngest sister, I believe. She's
middle
sister.
Yeah,
She's
middle.
11.
Yep.
Yes. Tell me about her.
Maria is she's definitely like almost like the mom of the group, I would say. She's just so mature, and she makes me laugh all the time because she's always got like little like quips and stuff like that you just wouldn't expect an 11-year-old to have. I remember there was one time where she made me these like rubber band bracelets.
Right.
I think.
And you had a heck of a game.
I hit a couple homers, and I called her later that night, and I was like, joking with her, Maria, you got to make me 1,000 more of these bracelets so I never run out. And she just kind of hit me with like, oh yeah, I knew that you couldn't do that by yourself. Like, it's definitely the bracelets that are giving you that kind of power. And I had to laugh because it's just like, you don't expect an 11-year-old to say something like that, but she does it all the time. And it's hilarious.
That's awesome. I'm gonna rotate to your youngest sister, Bridget, who also goes by Moana.
Yes.
She loves the water. She's always in the water. What you learned, that was last summer, I think you learned that about her.
Yeah, we it was actually kind of funny because when I was in high school, my senior year of high school, there was an interview from Chris Bryant, third baseman on the Cubs, that his slump buster, when he's going through a slump, he listens to the soundtrack of Moana. So, yeah, totally.
Do you do that too?
Hilarious. Well, that was the thing. So I knew that my little sister Bridget loves Moana. Maria loves it too. So I was like, you know what? Let's watch Moana, see if this works. So we kind of started watching it over and over and over again through the course of that summer. And, I just kind of started like calling her Moana because that was like our thing. And then we went to the beach a couple times that summer on vacation. We couldn't get her out of the water, so she is Moana now. Yeah.
I want to touch on your younger brother John later because I know he's taught you so much in your life. But I kind of want to focus on Eddie McCabe right now. And the first thing that I noticed in my bits of research last night, your pinned tweet from I think it was April 12th of 2018. It just says it just says onward. The period at the end. What does that mean?
So that was actually, we were on a little bit of a rough skid for baseball, and we were kind of all feeling like, you know how it is when you get into a losing streak. It's just like you feel like the world's collapsing around you, and everything seems to be going wrong. You can't catch a break, whatever it is, like errors, just strikeouts, whatever it is. Just I don't know. I just kind of was just like, you know what, we just got to keep moving forward. And I tweeted that, and it kind of just stuck. And it's always kind of just like a little bit of a reminder, just like, keep moving forward, no matter how much things are going bad for you or anything like that. It's just, keep going forward. Onward. Exactly,
that seems like your word, isn't it?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's funny because like a couple times I've said like, you know what, like I think it's time to change that pin tweet, and then I just never do it. And I think it's actually like
it looks
serves
cool.
me well.
I think for you, probably whenever you go on Twitter, your profile X amount of times a day or week, it probably reminds you. And I think it's a good reminder.
For sure. Even like I said, there's always going to be tough times, especially in the sport we play. It's a game based off failure. So if you're failing a lot and you're feeling down, just got to keep reminding yourself like it's going to get better. Just got to keep moving forward.
At Georgetown and on the Firebirds, you were number 4. Why?
So it's actually funny. I remember when I got the number 4 going into Georgetown. We got a email from our coach at Georgetown, P. Wilk, saying, the freshmen, here are your number choices. And it was a list of like 12 numbers. I think there were 10 of us. And it was like 4, 9, 17, and like a bunch of just like 50s and 40s. And I was like,
lineman
no.
numbers.
And I was actually I was on vacation with my family, and we were in the bowling alley. And I like quick looked at my phone, and I was like, guys, like quick, what number do I pick? And one of my dad's favorite players growing up was Lou Gehrig. George Springer's from Connecticut. He wears number 4. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go with number 4. So I chose that, and it just kind of stuck.
You got the 4 siblings too. It
all works out.
Meshes together.
Exactly. Now that you say that, I've never even thought about that. The fact that I have
now
4
that can
siblings.
be your answer. So why are you number 4?
4 siblings.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why. It's not Lou Gehrig, but now that you say that, it's actually funny. I never even realized that too. That's funny.
So I asked Eddie yesterday. We had our little pre-conversation before this, and basically I said, "What inspires you?" And I asked him for 10 words or less of what inspires you. You say, "Can I say 2?" What were those 2 words?
My parents. Growing up being the oldest, it definitely comes with its responsibilities. But my family, my parents in particular, have always kind of taught me, be a good example. Set yourself above the rest of the pack. When you got 4 kids looking up to you, as an older brother, they really they hold you to that higher standard. They know that every single thing that I do, they're going to be watching, and that's kind of always stuck with me. So they've definitely inspired me to be the person that I am today. And now I'm playing in Cape Cod, and all you can do is kind of say thank you because they've done it all. Between driving me to baseball practice, getting me the cleats, the bats, the gloves I need. I owe them a big check whenever I get, a job or when I get older or whatever. But yeah, they definitely have set the bar high for me, but I appreciate that they did, because it kind of taught me how to be the person that I am, for sure.
You mentioned the fact that your mom holds everything together, as great moms should, and your dad, from ages 14 to 17, you guys really got to kind of travel the East Coast from Florida to New York crazy. For baseball.
I sometimes think the amount of gas that we must have gone through, because it was literally just one weekend we're in New Jersey, the next weekend we're in Massachusetts, the next weekend we're in Florida. It was ridiculous, but it ended up being such a great experience, because just me and my dad in a car in a highway, and it's just it sounds kind of like movie-esque, but that's really what it was. Just listening to music, and then we were in the hotel rooms. Our thing was we would watch the miniseries Band of Brothers together, in the hotel rooms while we were on the road, and it was just it was awesome. Looking back, you kind of took it for granted at the time, and you're I'm just traveling playing baseball, but it definitely was a blessing to be able to do that with my dad for those years, because it ended up being just so much fun.
What did those trips mean to you?
I mean everything, because they allowed me to do, chase the dream, get recruited into a college. A lot of kids might not be able to have done that with their dads, or maybe not been able to afford it, but my dad always found a way, and it ended up getting me to where I am now, really, because you got to put yourself in front of people to be seen and go to college, and he did that for me, and now I play for Georgetown, and I'm playing for the Firebirds in Cape Cod.
He's a firefighter. Yeah. He has 5 kids and a wife.
Yeah.
And he still finds time to spend quality time with each and every one of them.
I mean, my dad really is an inspiration, because, the dude is always working. Literally, I remember he would go to the firehouse for 48-hour shifts sometimes, and he would come back, and, he could have been tired, angry, I don't know, whatever.
He could be grumpy after a long day.
Exactly. He just spent 48 hours fighting fires. But he comes home and he's playing wiffle ball with us in the backyard. He's watching TV with my little sisters. He's doing everything that he can to still, be there for everyone. And that's hard to do when there's 5 kids. There's so many of us. But he always finds a way, and I got to give him credit for that, for sure.
So something kind of interesting with Eddie is your father's name is Edward, your name is Edward.
Yep.
He is Edward James, you are Edward Owen.
Yeah.
So in the facts, I didn't know this. You're Edward Owen the second, but you're not Edward Jr.
It skips a generation because of the last name, for sure. But we kind of joke, because every single time there's a family event, it seems like there's 1,000 Eddies in the house. So
somebody says Eddie, what?
Yeah, exactly. Someone says Eddie, and it's just like everyone kind of turns their head, and then we go down to the nickname list, So yeah, that's always the kind of the running joke in our family.
It's like the TV show. You ever watch it on Cartoon Network?
Yeah,
Ed, and Eddie.
Yeah. That's really what
that's
our
the
family
McCabe
is.
family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, I know for me, having my last name be my family's last name, my father's last name, it's so.
Yeah, we got a bug flying around here. Yeah.
We've got great food here at the Knack.
Yeah.
Sponsored here by the Knack. Bird Bites. Right here? Yeah, look at that. I know with my family, I'm so proud to have the last name as my family.
Yeah,
For you to have the first and last name to be Edward Owen McCabe II, what does that mean to you?
It's kind of, you don't really think about it until you're older.
Yeah.
When you're young, you're like, oh, I got a bunch of people in my family named Eddie, but it's almost like your parents trusting you with a responsibility. We keep mentioning responsibility, but it really is kind of something like that, because they're giving you the first and last name, and you're you don't think about it until you're older, but it's kind of cool, for sure.
I asked you yesterday, what do you love most about yourself? And as humbly as you could, it took you a while to kind of think of something, and it ultimately came down to seeing the lighter side in things. The best compliment you said you ever got was your Georgetown coach after your big game against Stetson, which is a rivalry game. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
He said you play baseball like it's a wiffle ball game. I know wiffle ball in the McCabe family is a huge deal.
It's
huge.
Literally, it's like 7 games of the World Series when we go to on vacation every single year. We used to play for hours, literally sweating like sandy. It was ridiculous looking back on how much we played wiffle ball. But it was awesome because it got everyone involved. My dad would play, my uncle would play, my mom and aunt would play sometimes. my sisters play, my cousins, like everyone in the family. Like we used to draw like Yankee Stadium like in the sand to like, as our field. It was
So
ridiculous.
the short fences?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like 314 down the line. Like I'm sitting there with a wiffle ball bat, like tracing it out. It was ridiculous. But yeah, that compliment kind of, to me, it just shows, like, tells me that I'm having fun and I'm doing something right. Because, I think if you take yourself too seriously in this game, you're gonna be bound for more failure than you already are having, because it's a game of failure. But yeah, when he said that you play baseball like it's a wiffle ball game, it kind of just took me back to playing wiffle ball in my backyard, playing wiffle ball on the beach with my entire family, and it's just like, it definitely, those times and those moments definitely taught me how to play the game the right way, I think. So.
What are you better at, wiffle ball or baseball? I bet you dominate your little siblings and cousins.
You can't let them win. You can't. People, like my mom.
He's hitting 800 in the wiffle ball league.
Yeah, exactly. My mom sometimes like gets mad at me, like, you got to let them win at some point. I'm like, nah, it builds character. Mm-hmm. You can't let them win. Back then I would have said wiffle ball, but I don't know. We haven't played in a little while since I've been at college, but this summer is definitely, when we go to Maine, it's gonna come back for sure.
Before we move on here in our first edition of Bird Bites with Eddie McCabe, we've got to talk about the Knack. It's our proud sponsor. We're so happy to be here, enjoying a phenomenal burger.
Yeah, it's great. I've seen Rob Emery eat this in 30 seconds.
In 30 seconds, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, no, it's true. We've been here, and he's scarfed down one of these in literally a blink of an eye. It's pretty funny, actually. But yeah, no, once you start eating these, you can't put it down.
Yeah, we're on the double cheeseburger.
Yep.
What's your grade for it? Are we in the A range? Is this one of the better ones in town?
Definitely an A.
Yeah.
Definitely an A.
I know. I'm enjoying myself. We're talking. I wish we could just stop talking and eat the rest of the way.
I think the sauce, I'm not sure what exactly is
I don't know
in the
either.
sauce, but it's really good.
It is really good.
Really
okay,
good.
We're talking burgers. Let's talk more Eddie.
Yeah.
I think you and I are pretty similar in the fact that if you're not having fun, you're wasting time, you're wasting life. We're having fun today. You're going to have fun playing baseball. I'm going to have fun watching you play baseball today.
Yeah,
and
hope so.
With that, you've got so many siblings, cousins under you.
Yeah.
Does that kind of influence you more to have fun, to show them the lighter side of things?
100%. It's always, like you said, like if you're not having fun, you're kind of wasting time.
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing things like baseball. Obviously there's the times to be serious, there's the times to take
Ultimately, it's a game.
Exactly, yeah. I think that people lose sight of that sometimes, for sure. Especially now you got travel ball, you got 1,000 different coaches, you got, I have pitching lessons here, I got hitting lessons here. It's just like, it takes away from the fun.
It can become overwhelming.
Yeah. And if you're not having fun playing baseball, then you're definitely doing something wrong.
Deep into Eddie, you've been here for 2 weeks. You were here last summer.
Mm-hmm.
I like to ask this to everybody, normally in the pregame interviews, but in terms of not baseball, in terms of yourself, what have you learned about yourself in your short 2 weeks here on the Cape?
I think I would say being a professional.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way that Skip runs things, it's really a professional atmosphere. You're expected to be on time. You're expected to get your work in. They're not going to hound you and say, hey, why did you come to early work? Hey, are you getting your lifting in? Like all that kind of stuff. So it really forces you to just be responsible for yourself and take priority of what you need to do. And I think that's definitely been a huge learning experience for me. And I'm definitely grateful for it, because the way that Skip runs things is very, you kind of feel like a big leaguer, to be honest. Get to the park when you need to, like I said, get your work in, and then you go play a game, and then you're signing autographs or whatever it is. And he really, he harps on being a professional. I think that's definitely what I've learned in the past couple weeks.
The one question I asked you yesterday about baseball was, what is your higher purpose, your all-end goal in baseball? And it was to make the league. You said that's all you want to do, and then you said there's a quote, and you didn't know who it was from. It's Grayson Marshall. He said that if no one's laughing at your dream, then your dream isn't big enough. Yeah. And he's a motivational speaker, an entrepreneur, all that. I felt like I needed to tell you. But
no, thank you.
Here you are. You're 2 in the Cape. Here you are, first team All Big East. And here you are playing very well baseball here on the Cape, where lots of people on the Cape make the big leagues. for me, it sounds like your dream isn't quite big enough.
Yeah.
It seems like that's an attainable goal for you. And I was wondering when I was kind of thinking about this last night, do you see yourself also maybe as an underdog in that sense?
I'm not sure if underdog is the right term. I think, coming from Georgetown and coming from Norwalk, Connecticut, you're not really...
Two-time All-State, All-Star.
Yeah, you're not really, like, expected, if that makes sense, to,
Not many guys come out of that area.
Exactly. Play well in, big-time moments and play well against big-time competition. But I think that, knowing that is kind of put, almost like a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, trying to show that, I can hang with the big dogs. Like, don't worry about me kind of thing. And, yeah, like you said, it's becoming an attainable goal, but you kind of don't want to talk about it because you don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, totally.
So
you don't really want to tell people your goals because...
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, I think especially, we have a...
I'll hype you up. You don't have to. I'll do that for
appreciate
you.
that, yeah.
He's great.
Yeah,
he's great.
Thank you, yeah. No, but yeah, I think at Georgetown, our head coach is really great, Pete Wilk, and he kind of just he does things the right way, I think too. He's a big character guy. He teaches you how to act right, but he also teaches you, hey, no competition is too big. Like, we play Kansas, we play Wake Forest, we play big teams coming out of Georgetown, and we might not win every single game of those, but it definitely puts a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. Like, hey, I'm from Georgetown, and I want to show you what exactly I can do.
I feel like do you have that kind of thought running in every single part of working out and all that, and just preparation for the game?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a big motivator for sure.
I think one of your biggest motivators, it's your fourth of the 5 pillars that I decided for you, is your younger brother, John. He's 13 years old. He goes to the American School of Hearing, I think it is called.
Yeah, American School for the Deaf.
American School for the Deaf. And he is your rock, and he's taught you so much.
No, I mean, we call him the Rhino because he's just tough as nails. And, when he was, that was probably when he was 4 or 5, he had cochlear implants put in so that he could hear when he wears his hearing aid. Is called the processor.
Which makes it hard because he's got to learn English and sign at the same time.
Yeah, and they do a great job over at that school, and it's awesome to see because he's so happy there. Just being around people that are exactly like him. We'll go watch his basketball game. We'll go watch.
And he's really good at basketball.
He's disgusting at basketball. A couple weeks ago, I took him down to the beach to shoot some hoops. And I mean, the kid's got a jump shot like Curry. It's ridiculous. I'm sitting there.
He's as tall as you. He's 13 years old.
He's almost as tall as me. I'm watching him shoot. I'm like,
John McCabe. He's coming up, man. He's coming up.
Watch out for him. But he's an inspiration just because he's had to battle through so many things in his life. He had the 2 tough surgeries when he was young, and then learning to hear and learning to sign, and he just kind of does it all. And then still having the athletic ability to play basketball and soccer, and he's not too bad at baseball either. But I still don't let him win in wiffle ball.
Good.
Yeah, no, I can't do that yet. It's fun because he's the one I compete with the most, if that makes sense. We'll play
your brothers
2K, we'll play, MLB The Show, all that kind of stuff, and I'll to the death of me, I will never let him win, but he does get me sometimes, and it's definitely fun to have him, grow up underneath you, and he's a grinder for sure. Yeah,
you mentioned that yesterday. You said every single day he's got to be a grinder because he's learning, especially when he was younger, learning English, learning sign language, going to school 1 or 2 hours away, and also, just growing up with something that not everybody has, and being deaf and wearing cochlear implants. You think you're a hard worker until you look at a guy like that.
Oh yeah, 100%. And sometimes you forget, because he's just a regular kid. He just acts like a regular kid. Last night he's doing front flips into the pool like any other 13-year-old would. But yeah, you kind of sometimes need to take a step back and just say this kid's a hard worker. He doesn't have it easy, but he just does his thing, and he plays basketball and he plays soccer and he plays wiffle ball with us, and he goes to school like anyone else. But he's definitely just a grinder. I can't say it enough. He's just a grinder.
I know how important family is to you. You've got a family of a team here that you spend most of your time with, but family at home is most important to you, and I think that kind of defines your life.
For sure.
Say so.
For sure. I think family's always been the most important thing for me. I think that's what my parents have taught me from a young age. Family first. It's kind of, it's cool to have. And I would say that a lot of people might not have the same exact kind of family that we do, but every single holiday we're together. Every single birthday no matter if it's me, my sister, my cousin, my aunt, like we're all together always. And it was cool to have that growing up, because a lot of kids aren't blessed that same way, and you take it for granted when you're younger. But looking back, it's definitely a great thing to have, And I'm thankful that the support system is so strong, and that my parents definitely instilled that family first lesson in me from a young age.
You've got all your family. You've got Coach Pete from Little League to high school, Coach Pete at Georgetown. There's a lot of people in your corner that have kind of at least sacrificed a little bit of time, effort for you to be where you are today and for you to go where you're going in the future. Do you feel like, because I know I do, that you kind of owe it to them to do your best?
100%. We've talked a lot about inspiration and like responsibility and stuff like that, but the people who have helped you are definitely the people you want to do well for. Yeah. If there's a day where you're going 0 for 4, you kind of just keep those people in the back of your mind, and you're saying like they've supported you the entire time, and it definitely drives you to want to have more success for them.
Mm-hmm. The last thing I want to touch on is what's inked on your wrist.
Yeah, my tattoo right here.
I said yesterday, I prefaced it, something you live your life by. There would be a quote, a principle, and you pointed right there. Yeah. Tell me about it.
I almost feel like a broken record, but when my younger sister Ellie, when we were younger, we'd always do pen tattoos on each other, and she drew a wave one time, and I was like, you know what, I really like that, and so. I ended up getting the wave just kind of as an aesthetic, but that's my mom's handwriting in the Matthew, and then the Bible verse is Matthew 5, verse 14 through 16, which basically says, you are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light for everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine on others so that they may see your good deeds and give glory to your Father in heaven. And to me, when I was first going to college, I opened a package that came, and it was a letter from my mom with a couple of, ramen noodles or whatever it was. And she wrote me a note, and at the very end, she wrote that Bible verse down on the card, and it kind of, It made me definitely miss my family a lot, but it definitely, to me it means, you have responsibilities, you have gifts that people look up to you, and you're always, in this world of baseball, you're always going to be put under a microscope. People are going to be watching you, they're going to be, scouting you, judging you, whatever it may be, but if the most important thing is that you set a good example. You use your talents for good and not evil, kind of like that cliche. But just be a good person, set a good example for people, and it will, in the end, give people something to look up to.
Finding the light in the world. That's what you are. That's what you design your life around, and that's the biggest compliment you've ever gotten. Yeah. Eddie, thanks so much for the time.
It all ties together. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming.
Appreciate it, man. We're going to finish these burgers. Again,
appreciate
we
it.
Thank the Knack for proudly presenting Bird Bites here with Eddie McCabe, the first ever. Thank you so much again. And
thank you.
We're going to have a great day of baseball today.
Awesome.